in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This is someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. True. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Georgette Truan. I am the co-host for Fight CPS, Realtalk with Miss G, and I also work for the law office of Vincent Davis. I had a co-host set up for today. His name is Michael. He's an amazing person, amazing father. However, I think he's having a difficult time signing in to StreamYard to join me. However, I would like to discuss with you guys a couple of things that has been going on with CPS that you guys are not aware of. Most of you might be aware of, and most of you might not be aware of. But right now, what CPS is doing is that well, you guys might know this is happening anyways, but what they are doing right now is that because of all the shows against them and exposing them or what have you, they're actually taking a different approach. You know, they get one CPS worker to go to investigate or what have you. She's the nice or he's the nice person, right? They feed the mother up with lies. They tell her, you know, you're going to get your child back in 7 days. You're going to get your child back in 30 days, but we just have to conduct an investigation. Then they tell the mom, the father is the bad one. The father is not going to get the kids, what have you, et cetera, right? And the mother is like having this hope, you know, everything is going to be okay. So the mother tells the worker, this is what happened today. The mother tells the worker, asks her, well, should I get an attorney? So the worker said, no, you don't get an attorney. You're fine. You're going to be fine. You're the victim here, right? So she said a few months, you know, passes and she's thinking everything is okay. And the worker advised her everything is fine. And then right after we talked, like exactly 35 minutes after we talked, she calls me in tears telling me that they removed her baby. And they give the baby to the father who has DUIs, and he was in jail for the DUIs. And he was also the abusive party, domestic violence. They end up giving the baby to the father. After the worker told her, don't worry, you don't need an attorney, everything is going to be just fine. So I don't know if any of you experienced that type of, you know, new behavior, maybe. Let me know or write it down. I mean, I would like to see it on the comments. I mean, at least to know if anybody experienced something like that before. Also, another thing that happened right now, what the judges are trying to do is keep everything on the hush hush, meaning they will say, hey, you're going to have 8 hours visits with your daughter or your kids or what have you. And then the social worker will object. Social worker will object. And then the social worker is like, no, you're not going to have the visits right now. We don't think that she's ready. But yet the judges see that the child needs to be with the mom for at least 8 hours a week. It is very weird how they handle the system within the system. It's kind of like they set you up to fail, but kind of give you the hope of everything is going to be okay. Don't worry, you're going to get your child back. We just have to go through the process. But from what I see is the process is to set the parents up to fail. That's what the process is. That's what their process is. So this has been going on kind of like they're changing a little bit here and there. I'm going to read some comments now. Violetta said, my daughter is going through that for 3 years. Noah said, yes, which time they always do the same slimy bullshit. Carissa said 100. They entrapped her rights. Never speak to a CPS caseworker, nor do you trust them. They are not your friend. You must hire a private juvenile dependency attorney. If you cannot afford one, at least go to one that have consultation, write down everything they tell you, and then at least find an attorney that you can walk them through, or ask the attorney if he knows of someone they can refer you to. There is no price tag for your child. Please stop talking to CPS. They are not your friend. Listen to Georgette. Noah said, it's sad. It's sad a criminal that a serial killer has more rights to protect them that a parent has, that parent and family. Sorry for the language. I have them harassing my family for years. I understand, Noah. I get it. You guys are all correct. They have been doing this for years. Carissa is right. You have to look for a juvenile dependency attorney. Unfortunately, when you look for a private attorney, they don't do cases pro bono. That's why the court slams people with, pro bono attorneys. But as you guys understand, the pro bono attorneys is literally you get what you pay for. They will not help you. It's very important for you guys to understand that. They're not helping you. They're helping the county. And they don't really do any work for the parent, because according to them, the parent is worthless. According to the court pretenders, the court appointed attorneys, that is, they don't see any values in parents at all. They automatically deem you unfit. Automatically. And not even with a thorough investigation. They go by assumption. And then, of course, the judges listen to their assumption, right? And writes it down as facts, which is not facts. They're just assumption. Noah said they just came a couple of weeks ago and said, I supply my 13-year-old nephew with pills and weed. Funny, I've been clean for 2 years now, and they know this. They know so. Noah, I don't know, if you can jump into StreamYard and maybe, or maybe we can schedule you for next week, but I would like to know a little bit more about that. Just give me a minute, guys. Michael is here. Michael!
Hi.
Hi, honey.
How are you? I made it.
Oh, you made it. How are you?
I'm well, I can't complain too much.
I know, baby. I know exactly what you're going through. So, Michael, I'm so glad you made it, baby. You are an amazing father, and I've been talking to you for a long time now, and I know that you're dealing with a lot. I hear an echo, Michael. Do you have like some devices on?
My cell phone is next to me. Let me turn that off. Let me see if that helps.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay, I think it helps a little bit. No, it doesn't.
Let me adjust my settings here. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Should be an adjustment here for the settings. Even mic to our audio. Better?
Yeah, better. Better.
Cool.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your story, Michael, and be kind, because I know your mouth is out of control sometimes.
It rivals only yours, when we get
Be
into it.
exposed, but there's some things we cannot say on live feed.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just like the stuff that happens with this particular organization. It's it defies logic. Like the best screenwriter ever. The guy who wrote Forrest Gump and Quentin Tarantino, Pulp Fiction. He couldn't come up with this stuff. That that happens with the main thing I've realized is that unfortunately it's not it's a lie. That's the one main thing I can tell everybody is that it's a lie, and they hide under the protection services of children. And in fact, that's in my case, I can't speak for everybody else's case, is the exact opposite of what they do. And then they burn you down in the process. It seems like the more you care, the better parent you are, the harder they are on you. And it's
But tell the people, when you and I started talking, Michael,
Sure.
what did you say when you called me back? What did you say when you called me back? I told you everything they're gonna do. You called me back several months later, and what did you say to me?
You were right. You were
Yeah.
right. I should have listened to you. And you just don't want to believe it. That's what it is. You don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe that something that you thought was meant to protect,
Right.
something as great as a child is operating in the way that they do. It's a very scary thing. Very scary. And
Yes. It is.
I wish,
Michael, what did you, they actually gave you hope. Remember? They gave you hope.
it seemed
At
pretty
first.
good at first. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seemed like it was that they had the child's best interest in mind as well as mine. And I within the first like 2 or 3 months, I think around the time I called you is when I started to really become suspect, and then you kind of elaborated on what you've experienced and seen other people experience, and I was like, no way, no way, absolutely no way. And then what, 3, 4, 5 months down the road, then I'm like, I just had to call you and just to tell you you were right. And yeah, I just because
And when
I'm
you were going through, when you were going through the investigation, I told you what, you need an attorney now. It's better to
yeah,
get an attorney now rather than wait. But you were under the impression that you don't need an attorney right now because everything is going to be okay.
yeah, well, I had a court appointed attorney.
Well, that's
And
useless. I know that.
absolutely, and that's why I fired her. That's why I got rid of her, because oh my dog joined the show here.
It's okay.
He just would not do anything I asked, and then we were supposed to do something else here within the case, and she just didn't. She just became unreachable. One,
Right.
just pretty common, it's
Right.
common. And then, man, she even chastised me one time for missing a phone call, I think, and then in the process, um, glorified my ex-wife, and then my ex-wife is the reason that the kids were taken away. See, I'm a non-offending parent. I didn't do anything. I wasn't involved in the situation or anything, but I get treated like I'm less than a human being, And yeah, I mean, I couldn't even write this stuff. I can't make it up even if I wanted to.
No, you can't. You can't make up stuff like that. What you're first of all, a lot of people that is following us, me right now, they don't know that I actually know you for a while. You and I talked for a while. And
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, it's what, 6 months, over almost a
no,
year,
a year. Yeah,
almost a year, yeah.
almost a year. And you were not even around the mother when this happened to her and the child. You were literally not even living together. Like, you were apart. But they made you look like you are neglecting your children.
Absolutely, and they still do,
Or you
and they
fail to
still do.
protect them. But how would you know, right? How would you know that this woman is going to do this to the children? It doesn't make sense to me. You're unaware of what's happening, but yet you're still deemed unfit to be around your children.
Yeah, it's an insult to begin. First of all, to begin with, it's an insult,
Right.
and then, yeah, to be lumped along with a person that um it does the unthinkable with their children. I think I heard something about when I first jumped in about the other parent, giving children this, that, and the other. That was my ex-wife. Giving my 11 and 12-year-old stepdaughter drugs, and things
Wow.
like that. And then my ex-wife would keep the child from me, and then we had a custody order, and I would call law enforcement and stuff like that. That custody order meant nothing, absolutely nothing. Um, None of the I think I had like 31 incidents where I called, law enforcement, and
Mhm.
they just were of no help. And yeah, and then for me to be like lumped in with this is just, it's just an insult. An
I'm
insult,
sorry.
and it's just it's just, this whole situation has been a real eye opener, to how that the world actually works. And it's a terrible thing, it's really,
It's evil. It's evil.
it's sick, it's
It's
really
evil.
sick. And I'm just not made that way. I speak from my heart, and I'm like the what is it? I'm the antichrist to these people, because when they're making errors or they're doing something that's unsound, I say something, and then that is just like the worst thing you can do to a person whose life is based on lies.
Mhm.
And as hard as it's been, I'm not going to change. I'm still going to keep fighting
Mm.
and stuff like that. But
What state? People want to know what state. Jim wants to know what state is your case in.
California.
Yep. And is it the Monterey Park Courthouse?
No, I live in Northern California.
Where,
So
like, so basically the juvenile court in Northern California.
it's out of the Superior Court, but yeah, they have a juvenile division there. It's a really odd place, because I lived in Southern California previously, a majority of my life,
Mhm.
and then to come up here to this rural area, it's a whole different ball game. The
Right.
population's different, and everything, and then the courts are even, not the same. Even in what is it, Orange County, where I was living, everything was a little more, I don't know, it just was ran differently. It
Mhm.
wasn't, you were given a slight opportunity to talk about your case and things like that and what's going on here. They cut you off. They
Yep.
like they
Yep.
don't let you say a thing. Like the judge I have. I mean, I'm still involved in this case, but you know what? The decisions that have gone through are just that the judge has made. I mean, again, I couldn't rake this stuff up if I wanted to,
No. No.
if I could. But
No.
yeah, it's a completely different ball game too. I think this location where I'm at too has played a significant role in.
No, Michael. I told you that before. That's not true, babe. It doesn't matter
Oh,
where
it
you
is.
are. It doesn't matter. People
Ugh,
are suffering anywhere in the United States of America. They actually have, I think I mentioned this to you, they have DCFS in Canada, in UK.
really?
They
So they've
soon
gone
they're gonna,
global. They've
oh
gone
yeah, they've gone
global.
global. Yeah, they can. And there's
Oh
actually
my
an African
god,
country, I forgot the name of it, where they have CPS as well.
that's
So
horrible.
I can't remember what name it was, but I think I mentioned it a couple of times on my shows. But it's opening worldwide right now. I think. It's kind of like, you know,
Well, if it's in other other parts of the world, I mean, yeah, it sounds like it's going there, and that's horrible. That's the thing that needs to be stopped. I mean, everything starts out good, I think, but
Wow.
then somewhere along the way, I don't know. I really don't know that. That'd be interesting to find out the genesis of Child Protective Services, because I can't imagine that they went in with the goal that they're going to do, what they've done to me and a whole bunch of other people, and
Right.
destroy human beings and loving parents. I don't believe that that's the goal they went in with, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, that's pretty crazy
Yeah.
that it's you know not only in the United States, other places too.
Yeah,
That
it's
is.
really sad. What I was talking to a client today, Michael, and actually I was telling her to watch the show because I just love you to death. You're an amazing man. Like I
Thank
said,
you.
you're an amazing, amazing person. And but of course you were late, as I expected.
I
Expected.
was even admonished. I was admonished for coming to a court date late back in June. The judge is like, "We've been waiting on you," and I was like, "Well, we were supposed to be doing this thing at 1. It's now 3:30. I'm not going to hang out here in the lobby with my ex-wife. That's and my social worker, and
Right.
like I was taking myself out of an unsafe situation, basically. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. I have the
You're
court
just a late
transcript.
bird. You're a late bird. You're a late bird. That's all you are. You just
Well, I didn't used to be. It's like I said. I mean, this thing
it
has had
costs
such
you
a
a
negative.
lot. Yeah, it costs you a lot of, and the thing is, it affects the children, it affects the parent,
Oh,
and
that's
it
the
affects
main thing.
everybody, right? And the most important thing, it affects the children. That's the most
Yeah,
important part. And to
exactly.
me, I feel like if one parent wasn't there and they don't live together, why don't you bring the child to the other parent? It doesn't make any sense. If you catch the mother drinking and driving, or if you catch the mother doing drugs, or high on cocaine, or high on meth, and she has the
Sure.
child with her, but the father is available,
Hmm.
why not take the child to the father? Why take the child to a foster home? But
That's
what
that's
blows my mind, Michael, is that they even when the father is the perpetrator, the father is the criminal, they actually take the child from a good mom and give them to the dad. That's what blows my mind.
that is horrible. That's
It's
about the only thing they don't discriminate on. I think really what happens is in my case, they made a determination
Mhm.
before they even took the children, and it's a planned thing. That's what's really sick. You don't realize it when it's happening,
Mhm.
but I've had, like myself, I've had like a year to go over all these reports and stuff like that, and then I'm just like, there's like a trend that you know has developed since the beginning, but you can see it's in writing that there was like a plan to
Mm.
they waited for the right opportunity in my case to take the child. And the children, I had my son and the two stepchildren, ex stepchildren. But
But the
you know,
stepchildren know you for a long time.
sure, yeah, like 6, 7, 8 years, something like that.
Mhm. Yep.
And yeah, and that's another horrible thing about it is um I stepped in their lives when the boy was like, I think 4 years old or something like that. And my ex stepdaughter was 6 years old, so they were very young. And then like I was with my ex wife for like 6, 7 years, and I never even met the father, of the children. And
So all they know is you, Michael.
yeah, and that's another terrible thing is that like my ex stepdaughter is like ripping me in these reports, but it's obviously because of the mother, the exact same words. It's funny.
No, you have to be
and,
careful with that. I
and
think I told you, you don't know if the child is saying that. You don't
yeah,
know that. You
exactly.
don't know that. They always say the child said, the child said, the child did, the child did. No.
Mhm.
If it's the same words as the mother, they made up the report even on the mom.
I don't doubt it. I
You
don't
know what I
doubt it.
mean? That's what they
Yeah.
do. Even it doesn't matter. They always say the child said. Remember, Michael, I told you I spoke to several young adults who were in
Hmm.
the system, and they all told me the same thing. They said, Our parents were good parents. My mom was a good mom. The social worker said, if I don't agree to this, I will never see the mom again. So basically what they do, they threaten the children, and the children are they're you know, they're not, you can't
Oh, they're
expect a child
playing
to
these
be
kids.
for 4 hours, you know, questioning a child for 4 hours, right? So the child will end up giving up.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
An adult would give up after a couple hours even, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So that's what they've done. And everyone I spoke with have no relationship with each other. They don't know each other. And they all told me the same thing. That's why I said on my videos, they need to put body cameras on when they speak to children. They shouldn't
Absolutely.
speak to children without body cameras because they lie. Social workers are demons in human bodies.
I can't believe some of the stuff I mean, in my case, I've been delayed a particular service for a year now. And then they're writing that as a reason not to give my son, return my son back to my care. It's just ridiculous. And the social worker does not want to text with me anymore, even though she's the one that initiated these text messages back in December of last year. So this has been going on for a year. So after the 6-month hearing, the one that I ran into or whatever, that I was admonished for being late. After that hearing, because it almost felt like a setup, really, because we're scheduled there at 1:00, right? I've been to like 3 or 4 of these things, and they've all gone on at the right time. 1:00, boom, you're it, and there's very few people in there in the courtroom, as there should be. It's a family law thing, right? So anyway, we ended up waiting for like 3 hours, and luckily I had my girlfriend with me, so I was able to go outside, because they had me in this little hallway with my ex-wife, who I have a restraining order against, and the social worker and the social worker supervisor, who have been lying about me constantly. I call them out on it. I'm like, dude, that's not true. Why did you write that? And they deflect. They try to deflect stuff, but I don't. No, you're not going to do that with me, because I know what happened, and I'm not going to just bow down to you, because that's what they want. They want me to just do what they want, and anyway. So I mean, for 3 hours this went on. My social worker would text me and say, "Oh, Michael, it's time to come in. We're ready." So I'd go in there, and then I ended up sitting down by myself with with them, just all 3 of them, in a just very awkward situation. So I go back out, and that happened like 2 or 3 times. So that's why I was late for that one. But it's for good reason, because I wasn't gonna take myself out of an unfavorable situation. But then we did the testimony, because there was a change of order for a particular service, and they were expecting to like wipe the floor with me and me to go crazy and all that stuff, and I kept it cool, and like everybody was just like their little team that they had, the lawyer and the supervisor and my ex-wife and everything, where they were just, you could tell that they had been beat down by the end of it, because they were so expecting me to just go crazy during this situation, with the waiting and the back and
But
forth.
that's what they want. That's what you don't understand, but that's what they expect you
Oh,
to go crazy, because they want to hold something against you. And I tell people all the time, don't give them the satisfaction. Don't do that. Because once you give them the satisfaction, it's like when you are dealing with a social worker, you have to deal with them like you're playing poker. You
absolutely.
can't show any emotions to them. You can't show them any type of feeling, whether you're happy or sad, you're upset, your stomach hurts, you have to go to the bathroom. You can't show nothing. Just like you're playing poker. And people don't understand, when you deal with a narcissist, the narcissist feels empowered when they know they pushed your button somehow.
Oh yeah.
Know that they create, they actually cause your feelings to just change. They feel power over you. When you show them absolutely nothing, it makes them
And
more
they go haywire.
when they go haywire. Exactly. So you have to be
And
very mindful about that. And Michael, I know that you've seen the social worker smile in your face several times.
oh, I've heard them laugh over the phone too. Like there was one instance where a guy I had never even met started calling me after that 6 month hearing. As a matter
Yeah,
of fact, it was like, well,
yeah,
we're looking for other options just in case reunification doesn't work out.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I was very cordial with him, during the first conversation, and then I like asked him, like, I'm like, well, what are you trying to achieve here, dude? Because I'm telling you exactly what's happened, and you're not giving me anything. Like, what is your purpose? Like, what do you want? And he's like, oh, like I said, he's like, oh, I'm just trying to figure out where you are with the program, and we're looking for people. This is what he said to me. He's like, we're looking for people that want to make a change, that are
Hmm.
looking to be a better person and change. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
what does that have to do with anything? Is that gonna? You don't know me. I don't know you. It's like
And
because
they
I
act
want
like
to.
they know you. They act like they freaking lived with you. They ate with you and celebrated holidays with you. It's like they think they know you. But the thing about it is, like, they're like this with
They're
everybody.
playing you. They're trying to
Yeah,
play
they're playing
you.
you. Yeah, they are. They're playing you. They're not. Oh my God.
They're not looking. They're
It's
not
sad.
looking out like we were talking about. They're not looking out for the child at all. They could care less about that child, other than they want to keep. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
shit. It's a horrible thing to say, but it really is.
yeah,
Comes down to that they want to keep that child as long as they can.
yeah, yeah.
It is horrible. It's
Because
just
people don't know this, Michael, but the longer they keep the child in the system, the more funding they have too. And then when they leave them in the system for so many months, for like there's a certain amount of months they leave the children in the system, they still get funding. But however, when they get them adopted, they make most of their funding from the adoption.
oh, okay.
Okay. But they get funding when they adopt the children and while the children are in the custody of CPS or in the
Yeah.
state, jurisdiction. So it's kind of,
You don't want to believe it, you
you don't
know?
want to believe it, but it's true. It's very, very true. Very, very true. I have a client that actually thought, she told one of her friends that Nancy Schaefer was murdered by CPS. So I told her, I said, actually, in the media, they say that she was murdered by her husband, but she exposed CPS and Bill Clinton. She got death threats, etc., etc. So what happened was they made it look like her husband killed her.
Oh, I believe it. I
You know,
totally believe it.
so they
You
kind
told
of
me that
covered
six
up her
months ago.
tracks. Yeah.
6 months ago, maybe. A year or 2 years ago, no way. But with what I've experienced, I absolutely believe that.
I believe it too. I
Yeah.
honestly cannot say I wasn't there, obviously, but I don't put anything past them because they don't
I
like a
don't.
narcissist doesn't like to be exposed. We all know this. If you expose a narcissist in court, believe me, they will hit you harder than you could ever process, and they don't give up. But the court sides with the abuser. Always, the court always sides with the abuser.
I don't
One,
get it. I
uh-huh.
don't get it. That's exactly what's happening in my case. Like my ex-wife is. Oh man, I have some of these like. All right, so she asked for a what is it? In our custody agreement, like,
Mhm.
oh, we're not supposed to disparage the other parent. She specifically asked for that, like, not this to disparage the other parent over social media, right?
Yeah,
And shortly after that 6 month hearing, which was in June, I was taken. I had to file a motion of contempt for the child custody violations and stuff like that. And then some other stuff happened, restraining order violations. And she just started going off on social media about me, like calling me a narcissist, and all the things that she is
uh-huh.
was trying to project that onto me on social media. And I was just like, I mean, at this point, I really, it's not unexpected, but, and then I showed that to the judge, and like, he didn't even consider that like a violation of the custody order, and which it's just so crazy that it's, something she asked for, and I don't know. I mean, I got a weird judge too. I mean, that's all I'm going to say about him, but I could say a lot more. But yeah, no, and CPS loves her. That's the thing that I don't understand. That I'll never understand is, but I guess you put it that way. They I don't know. They like that. That's what the court likes.
CPS are, like I said, they're, my God, like, I'm going to say this again. CPS are demons in human bodies. And I actually want to read something. I don't know if I read it to you, Michael. I don't remember because you and I talk a lot, but it's about recording a social worker.
Okay.
So let me read this, Michael, and to the rest of the people as well. Okay, so a parent or legal guardian may make a video or audio recording of his or her interview or interaction with a county child protective services social worker who is investigating allegations of parental abuse or neglect. The legislator finds and declares that nothing in existing law prevent a parent or legal guardian from making a video or audio recording of his or her interview or interactions with a county child protective services social worker. A county child protective services social worker assigned to a role performing duties that includes assuming the custody of a of children or conducting interviews of a child or his or her parent in order to investigate allegations of parental abuse or neglect shall provide notification to a parent or a legal guardian undergoing investigation of parental abuse or neglect in writing that the parent or legal guardian may make a video or audio recording of his or her interview or interaction with a county child protective services social worker. A copy of the written notification shall be signed by the parent or legal guardian and returned to the county child protective services social worker to acknowledge receipt of the written notification. If the Commission on State Mandates determines that this act contains costs mandated by the state, reimbursement to local agencies and school district for those costs shall be made pursuant to Part 7, commencing with Section 17,500 of Division 4 of Title 2 of the Government Codes. Now, oftentimes people say you cannot record a social worker. Oftentimes the social worker will say you cannot record me.
It's a social worker that says that. The social worker will tell you, don't listen to your social worker, because the social worker will tell you you can't do a lot of things. And usually those things they tell you can't do will not benefit them, so that's why they're telling you not to do that. You're not able to do them. But, all right, that was a lot. I'm not very book smart, so to speak. So was that I can record them during an investigation, like so in the initial, findings and stuff like that, and they come to your house? Does that change after you're already involved in the case with them, or can you still record and monitor them after you've already gone when you have a case with them, not during the investigation, like the initials?
Interaction. They're saying interaction or investigation.
Okay.
It's saying interaction. So interaction with them.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, why would you not want to be recorded if you're not hiding anything?
Exactly.
Why would you not want to be recorded?
Oh, I got a perfect example of that. Because after I think like the fourth or fifth month of this nightmare,
Right.
I don't talk to them like without somebody with me, even if I'm on the phone. I have somebody with me all the time because there's been phone conversations where they've, maybe taken something I've said and twisted it another way, and in more cases than not, just made stuff up. Like I'm like, where did this come from? I never, like never said that. And they put the thing that really gets me is that they put it on paper. Then they give it to a supervisor who signs off on it, and then they submit it to the courts. That's what real. So that is a beautiful thing, and people need to know that. Like sounds like you can have somebody. You have the right to have somebody with you. One, during all this stuff, and you can record too. So people need to know that.
See, look what Jim wrote, Michael. Here in Texas, CPS is required to inform the parent of their rights to record. It's amazing they don't want to do that. Isn't it amazing? Because a criminal doesn't want to be caught. Think
A
about it.
liar, a
A
liar, a
liar isn't.
narcissist.
Yeah.
That's
I
why
mean,
they
it's
hate me. That I am the antichrist of these people because they're liars, and I call them out on it. I can't help it. That's just who I am.
yeah.
And
And you know what's so sad about all this is that the state level, the judges, when
sure.
I tell you guys they're attorneys in black robes, it's true because they side with the worker. They are juvenile attorneys in black robes. So they
Oh,
side with the worker.
excuse my
Judges, yeah,
language, they're scum.
they're
They're
scum.
scum.
They
You
are.
know, I mean, they're just yeah, I just went through. This is really fresh. A really horrible decision made by this attorney, or not attorney. Well, the attorney in a black robe. That just defies all logic, which puts my kid in
Right.
an unsafe situation.
And in the house,
And I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you.
they put the children in an unhealthy situation. And actually, the child would cry out for help, and they still don't want to help them. And
Exactly.
that's the damn thing. That's the damn shame about this whole thing. Is such sad all over. The parent is mourning the loss of their child. The child is mourning the loss of the parent, and there you have it.
And
And
then
they're in a sister's home. Yeah.
you can't do anything about it. That's
No.
like the worst part. It's just like
I know, Michael. I know, baby. I know.
that's just
I know.
like it's the worst. It's the worst thing you can do to a parent is
It
just
is the
take
worst
away
thing.
your ability to help your kid, dude. That's just especially when
And
you didn't do anything wrong.
I know, baby. I know. I know. And I totally understand, Michael. I totally get it. I really, really do.
That's just yeah. I mean, and then I gotta wonder about these judges too. Like, what is the gain for them? Because it's obviously nothing good. And then our with the experiences that we've that my experiences, and then what I've heard, and then what I'm sure Miss Georgette, that some things that are and then through my experience, I mean, it's
I know
horrible.
I know too much about how
Yeah,
they so corrupt.
I've
And
heard I've heard you on some of your programs where you're just like you just you can go on for hours if you needed to, if you wanted to,
I can't.
about the I don't know,
Because
this
they're corrupt.
horrible.
They're corrupt. They're corrupt. They're so corrupt.
Absolutely.
Corrupt. And I'm telling you, I have literally people that I have been talking to where I can hear the social worker on the phone. Michael, on the freaking phone. They put them on speaker while I'm on the other phone with them, and I can hear how the worker's talking to them. They
Oh, like
talk.
they're just a horrible.
Yeah. Oh my God. They bully them. They threaten them. It's all on phone, like by phone. They're threatening the mother and the father. And it's like, it's endless. It's like, how could you? How could you be a professional doing something like this? But what I realized, they're idiots.
They're
Freaking
retards.
idiots. They're retards.
They're
That's what they are.
they're juvenile. The
They are
behavior is
juvenile.
juvenile, and they're so disrespectful. Like when they came into my home. I'm glad you brought that up because,
Right.
like I said, at a certain point, I was like, I'm not going to meet. I had to have somebody with me because they would come to my place and then, just exactly what you said, disrespect me and then start to demean me, and I would I think 3 or 4 times after the house visits, I was just like, I would cut them off. I'd be like, you know what, you guys need to go. Just like that. You guys need to go. This isn't going anywhere. And then they would write about it. This is, going back to that, what they write about in the courts, or about these situations, these interactions we have. Like I just said there, I need you guys to leave. This isn't going anywhere. They were like, oh, he became so aggressive and so, and this, that, and the other. This is why he needs this and that, anger management. And that's not what happened at all. So one of the first meetings I had with them after I started bringing a person with me, the social worker, we were all talking for about, I don't know, 10 minutes. And then my girlfriend asked a question about these services, which we had been talking about for like 10 minutes already. And then she's like, the social worker just stopped. She's like, you know what? You don't have, the release of information and blah, 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 but in a real negative way. And then basically told my girlfriend at the time to go upstairs and leave the conversation. So, I was like, well, can I authorize, her to be here, verbal ROI? No, we don't do that. She needs to sign them. And I'm like, okay, you go upstairs. So less than like a minute or two after she went upstairs, the social worker just turned into like a monster, dude. Just started, like you said, yelling at me, demeaning me, and telling me you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and blah blah blah. But my girlfriend is upstairs; she can still hear everything that's going on, so she caught that too. So I urge anybody that's listening to this to have somebody with you. Georgette read that part of the law there, and hey, do it. Have somebody be informed. And if you find anybody else that's in this position, let them know that they don't have to go through this and these interactions with the social worker alone, because they're relentless, and they have no respect for anything. Like dealing with a bad kid, they're juvenile in the way they do stuff. It's just crazy, like I said before in the beginning. You can't make this. I couldn't make this stuff up even if I tried.
Yeah. And Tamara said something. She said, "Don't open the door and tell them to call a lawyer." I'm telling you guys, the best time to hire an attorney, and it's the cheapest time, is when you're going through the investigation phase. That's very important, because the investigation part is to stop the move, completely stop them from removing your children. That's the most important part. However, some people think because the social worker is playing this game with them that everything is going to be okay. They're investigating. I'm a good parent. Nothing is going to happen to my kids. Nothing is going to happen to me. And then before you know it, in the middle of the night, they're there knocking on your door with the police, removing
with
your
the
children.
cop.
Yeah. So you have to be very careful. They trap you to thinking that.
Well,
Because
exactly. You're overwhelmed. You don't know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with them, they can change so quick. They could be your friend here for a second, and then when it comes to getting that child or getting whatever, they boom. Then they'll go from nice guy to like a horrible. Just it's very scary. It's a very scary thing.
You know what's so sad? We have a lady that called me last week, Michael. This is a true story. Obviously, all my crap is like real life crap that happens. All my stories.
Good.
So what happened was, she had not a hidden camera, but she had a camera outdoors, right? When the social worker contacted her, she said, "We're going to come to your house to conduct an investigation because the teacher at the school reported that the child had bruise on their knee." Right? So the mother was like, "Wait a minute, my child fell on his knee when he was playing. I mean, it's normal. Child is 7 years old, a boy, and
for sure.
sports, right?" So she said, "Well, we're going to come to your house, et cetera, et cetera." So the mother said to me, "I didn't see anything of it." The night before they came, that late at night, she saw somebody throw trash from the camera. She got an alert that somebody's throwing bags and bags of trash to her yard.
Wow.
So middle of the night, she's like, wait a minute, that's so weird, but I'm not going to do anything now because my husband isn't home and I'm with my children, so I better not do anything. The following day, she waited until her husband, because her husband works graveyard. She waited until the following morning, told her husband, this is weird. Look at the camera. This person was throwing trash into the yard, but I don't know why. Then all of a sudden, the social worker comes. And the social worker takes pictures of the trash. But she said, wait a minute, why are you taking pictures of my yard? This happened last night. Somebody threw the trash into my yard.
And this is my property too, you know.
So think about it. I'm beginning to wonder if the social worker didn't get somebody to do it.
Oh, I'm sure she did. Absolutely.
That's
I
what I
wouldn't doubt
think.
it one
I
bit.
honestly feel that because it's true. It's very true what they're doing. It's like all of a sudden somebody threw trash. Why? Why all of a sudden this house? Why?
Oh, I would almost bet. I mean, I would bet my life on it right now. Really, I would.
Am I right? It doesn't make sense. So she sent me the recording. She shared it with me, and she has a Ring camera. And she even said to me, Georgette, this is a nightmare. My house is spotless. She showed me a video of her entire house. She's clean, like really those type of women who love to clean and everything has to be organized.
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything had to look like a calendar picture, perfect house. And the trash is the only thing they have against her, and the bruise on the knee.
Which, like, the bruise on the knee is like you said, 7 years old. You know, like, man, I can't count how many bruises I have.
And because of the trash, she said, we're going to remove your children. She said, not without a court order, the mother. Then she said, we're going to go get a court order. They went and got a court order and removed the children. And took pictures of the trash in the yard, making them look like they're literally living in trash.
Oh, my God. See, that's the funny. I mean, it's funny to a certain extent. But what's not funny is the whoever signs off on this stuff, who approves it, the judges or whatever, the courts.
Yeah,
that's another issue that needs to be addressed too. I mean, because that is funny. That is totally CPS in my case, juvenile with everything.
There's juvenile. They're ridiculous. Actually, ridiculous is not even the right wording for these type of people. They are crazy. They're really, really crazy people.
Oh, absolutely. Like, here's a good one here. Not to cut you off, but
no,
so I commute to see my kid. I mean, I've been doing this since February, and you know, it's a 40-mile thing, you know, one way. You know, so I was letting them know that I was like, I'm having trouble, you know, because they wanted me to do all that. They wanted to keep me in that county, you know, so they were angry when I didn't stay. You know, there was one point when I was talking about moving, and the supervisor was out there at my house and was giving me tips on how to manage my money and stuff, and where to buy an apartment and stuff to keep me in the county. And I tried for a little bit. I was like, maybe it'll make it easier, but I just, you know, some other stuff was going on, and I had a good opportunity where I am right now. You know, fresh start. You know, and I took it, and no assistance. I didn't know till after the 6-month hearing that they offered, you know, gas cards and stuff like that. You know, my social worker never told me anything like that. But yesterday was the first time I got this a gas card, or was it the day before? And you know, I was waiting outside, and they'd shut the doors early and stuff like that, and so I was waiting, and then I called, no answer, blah, blah, blah. So this went on for like 20 minutes. So I was out there waiting. And then, you know, just, waiting. And then I look out there, and the social worker is just like standing out there, you know, with their mouth open, like looking at me. And I'm like, well, and then I look at her, and then, you know, I get my keys out of the car and stuff. And I look over at it again, and she's just like standing there, you know, with her mouth open. You know, she knew I was in a hurry. That's another part of it. I had to go to work and stuff, and I actually needed the gas card and the gas money, to get to work and back. And it was just weird. The whole, like, the behaviors of the social workers is weird. Like, a normal person, I would have been like, okay, the guy needs to work. I would have If he didn't notice me, I would have just walked right over. You know, I wouldn't have made eye contact with him, and then sat there with my mouth open still, you know, staring at him. And then when I walked up to her, she was like a zombie. You know, it's just a zombie to like a fierce predator. You know, when she's in my home and I'm alone. That's the key thing. When I'm alone, then she like really like rips into me. But if there's somebody else there, she's not that way. But that is not the
Are
behavior.
you sure? Because they're that way whether somebody's there or not.
Well, in my particular case, she's she gets angry and tells a person to leave, you know. But yeah, you know, well, my social worker, here it is. So she tells a person to leave so she can be mean and demeaning and whatever else.
Yeah.
And but then now that I have a person with me, she writes about these situations and rips me that way now. So it's
Right.
like now that she can't do it in person, she does it in another way, you know. So it's I
They
don't
will
know
find
if that's
a way, baby. And believe me, whatever they do,
oh, they
they
won't
will
stop. They won't
yeah,
stop.
stop. It's like they are true narcissists. They really are true narcissists. No joke. And that's what they do best. That's what they
That's
do
all they
best.
can do. You know,
No,
that's
they
just
can
like
do way worse than that. They can actually get children adopted. Like, well, obviously, they get children adopted for a reason. Why would you get a child adopted by a stranger when they have family members, even? But they don't want to transfer the case into another county because they will lose the funding.
absolutely just like
Like,
how they
for
didn't want me to
example,
leave.
yeah,
You
yes,
know, good point. Good point. Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna lose funding. The mother lives in Ventura, the grandmother lives in San Francisco, for example.
Mhm.
We have cases where the grandmother lives in Culver City and the mother lives in Lancaster. Why wouldn't you transfer the case to Culver City or Los Angeles? That part of Los
Yeah.
Angeles. Why would you not want to do that? Because that county will get the funding. Because
Hmm.
CPS are contracted employees through the state. So they have different entities in different counties. Got it? So they
Okay.
don't want to lose the funding. They don't want to transfer the case. So they make
Okay.
up excuses.
Absolutely. And that
Mother,
happened in
the
mine.
grandmother's yeah, the grandmother's home is not clean enough. The grandmother is too old. The grandmother is this. The grandmother had that's what gets me. The grandmother is too old. And one grandmother said, "I'm 62 years old. I am not old." And she said,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
Well,
And
my grandma was around that age, and she raised me. She helped raise me. She helped raise my cousin, who was like a 14-year-old, you know, teenager. I was like 12. She raised like two teenagers, and like she
right,
kept us in order, you
right.
know, like so the age does not matter. That's like you said, an excuse, you know, and that happened with me too. You know, granted, mine's a little further away, like 8 or 9 hour drive, but I mean, I heard all kinds of different excuses
Yep.
on why they would not, you know, let my relative of mine take the child or anybody else. You know, they were difficult in the whole process. You know, the social worker became unreachable. You know, many a times for my visits and with my family members. They just, yeah, they want to keep it there for their own personal gain, and that's what's you know sick. And then you know one thing that I realized watching your guys' you know you and Mr. Davis's shows is that what grandparents have to go through. You know, grandparents get burned. You know, that's just so sad.
Grandparents cry day and night. I know this grandmother who had a really tough time on Christmas because she loves her 7-year-old grandson, and they stole that 7-year-old grandson from her son. And the reason is because the mother is bipolar and she was driving under the influence of drugs. She was caught. So instead of
Mhm.
giving the father the child, the father is in Arizona, example, and the mother lives in LA. So he didn't know. He just goes to his visitation to pick up the child every other weekend, visit the child, bring him back to the mom, and that's it. And they meet outside. So there's no interaction with the mom knowing what she's doing. Okay.
Okay, similar in my
And then,
case.
speak of that in family court. Family court end up giving joint custody. So basically, even the judges in family court don't want to take custody from an abusive party who does drugs. So they end up giving the father and the mother joint custody. So the father, her son, kind of like dealing with it, kind of like, okay, well, it is what it is. That's what the court wants. There's nothing I can do. No matter what I say, they're going to say joint custody. So he will go pick up the child, bring the child back. Anyway, she got caught. Then CPS does not want to give the child to the grandmother, right? Does not want to give the child to the father, even though the father has nothing to do with it. Then all of a sudden, the foster parent convinced the 7-year-old or the 6-year-old to say that the father touched him in his private part.
Oh my God, dude.
So when the father, yeah. So when the check this out, Michael. Seriously, this is true. I still talk to the grandmother. Then the father was having a video. What do you call that? A video on his phone.
Yeah.
Meeting
Zoom
with his
Zoom
child,
meeting or
right, with the child. Then the grandmother on the other side was videotaping the whole entire interaction with the child. The child was, and I saw that video. The child said to the foster mother, like basically letting her know, is that what you want me to say, that daddy touched my private part?
oh,
She literally
like
said that.
is that acceptable? Is it like
Right.
is it
Am I
oh
doing it right, kind of thing? So the
yeah.
grandmother took the recording to the social worker. And did you know they sided with the foster mom?
Oh, I believe it.
They
I
refused
believe
to
it.
put the recording as evidence that she's coaching the child to say that daddy touched my private part.
It's just I
It's
mean,
kind of like, wow.
there's no lower person in the world than a person that does that, tells a child to lie for the wrong
Yeah.
reason.
Yep.
I mean, everybody, there's lies, but then I mean, how can you, I don't know. I don't think that way. I don't work that way. And to me, teaching a person, a growing person that has so much potential to do the wrong thing, is just,
Yeah.
that's evil. That's really evil. And that's a sick human being.
It
And
is.
it's
It really is. It's really
unfortunate.
sad. That foster mother, I told the grandmother. I mean, the grandmother had it really tough, Michael. I mean, people think grandparents is not the same as the pain as the same as the mother or the father, but they have it bad too, because their grandkids become the apple of their eyes.
Yeah.
And it's sad. But then again, unfortunately, Michael, there's other parents, grandparents who actually report their ex daughter-in-law because they don't like her, or daughter-in-law, and because there's a lot of malicious people out there that do things just because they hate,
Yeah,
and
for the wrong reasons,
for
you
the wrong
know?
reason. So it's kind of like you have the good and you have the bad, but the bad outweighs the good. Unfortunately, the older
Oh,
I
yeah.
get, I see more evil people than good people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And the good people are just, like we're just overpowered. It's just really what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not enough people like myself and like you that will say something
Yep.
that won't stand for it. And that's a
That's
shame. And I hope that we could, you know, whatever that we can spread the message that there are still some decent people in the world.
There are, but not many, Michael. I hate to be negative, but you know me better than that. I speak my mind.
That's right.
Not too many people are good, and unfortunately, like I said, in my opinion, there's more bad than good people. There really
Oh,
are.
it's a fact.
Yeah,
It's a fact. Whether
but
people
look
want to
what the
believe it or
government
not.
is doing. The government is not doing the right thing for the people. They're
Well,
not.
they're not protecting the people.
Nope.
That's the thing.
Nope.
They're not informing the people. They're not educating. Educating people, and that starts from the beginning. When
Babe,
kids are in
the government is
kindergarten.
the reason why our kids are they're still our children. I mean, give me a break. You work for the federal government and you see all this stuff is going on. Like I showed a video, not a video, I posted a link to a video of a court, a CPS attorney defending the social workers in federal court with 3 federal judges, telling
Wow.
them that it's okay to lie to take children from parents. And the judge, that was live. It's live. It's on YouTube. Just type in lie as social, no, CPS attorney lies to 3 federal judges, something like that. I can't remember the name of the title, but I posted
I'll
it
check
on
it out.
my, yeah. And that stupid idiot, I hated to be her because I listened to her. She's so stupid. I still say, and one of the judges, I love that guy. He's an older judge. It was 2 male judges, older, younger, and a woman, and a female judge. And he was like, "Are you telling me that it's okay to lie? That the social worker is okay to lie to steal children from parents?" Well, Your Honor, is blah, blah, blah. She named some name. I'm like, what the fudge is she talking about?
And that's what they do. You know, people that lie like that for the wrong, or will just like it's weird how they make themselves believe what they're doing is right. Kinda. I don't know. It's a completely different thought process than I have. You know, with the things that I do.
Yes,
and the way I live.
But yeah, it doesn't even matter if you live in a box and you're a parent. If you live in a box because you lost your job and you're a parent, for the love of God, you don't strip a child from a parent because they live in a box because they had bad, what do you call it? They're dealing with bad circumstances because of a loss of a job, a loss of an apartment, whatever the case may be. That
Family
doesn't mean
member.
they're bad parents. Right. That doesn't mean they're bad parents. Still, help them find a place.
Absolutely. Those are the people, you know, but it just doesn't work that way, though. That's the thing I've noticed is they want to enable. That's what they enable the people that just continue to do bad so they can keep doing bad. It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah. And you know what's so sad? When they give the child to the abusive party, they know they're gonna, after 6 months or a year, they know they're gonna take that child back into another home because they know that party's gonna screw up.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. That's what people
So
don't understand.
they look good. They gave the kid back, right? Oh, but then the kid, you know, but they knew that the parent was going to screw up anyway. So it's like, then they look like they're saving, you know, jumping in and saving the day again.
Yeah. But see what I mean? To make it look like they did the right thing, but they didn't do the right thing. And they make the mother seem like she's crazy or make the father seem like he's crazy and vice versa. Now, if somebody's related to them, meaning if they have some type of connection in the system, a social worker,
then
social worker, whatever, they literally get what they want. Even if you are a criminal, they will give the child to the criminal because his aunt works for the Department of Child Services. I'm being honest. That is real and it happened. Yeah, this guy was in jail for multiple things: selling weapons, DUIs, selling meth. He was a drug dealer.
Nice.
All kinds of stuff. So the mother left him and filed for a restraining order because she was afraid for her daughter. Did you know they ended up giving the daughter to the father? And the mother had no criminal record. He lied to her, didn't even tell her he had a criminal record before. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that sad?
I believe it.
The child to him.
I believe it.
Yeah. And she lives in a garage with her daddy. That's the sad part.
Oh, that's horrible.
How are you going to take a child from a 2-bedroom home, put the child in a garage with their dad?
Who has a history of selling drugs and
it doesn't make sense. That's what I'm trying to. It's like when I talk about this, you guys, daily, sometimes I become passionate and angry, not because, I mean, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about this because I can't stand injustice. Injustice sickens me. It's like, how can you treat humans like this? How can you treat children like this? How do you have the heart to sleep at night? But then I realize the system is a narcissist because narcissists don't have feelings. They have no remorse.
Yeah.
They don't have accountability. Correct.
It's just and that's my ex-wife. She fits the bill with all those things, and that's
right.
So unfortunate. Like we live in a world where you're rewarded for lying and telling the truth. Is a crime, you know? It's just That's a hard pill to swallow, dude. That I just had to experience.
It's Michael. Let me tell you something, baby. No matter no matter what, some people are going to understand and some people are not going to understand how CPS is. Those people that don't understand how the system works, they're going to be clueless. And the most important thing, like I mentioned, is to hire an attorney when you are going through a CPS investigation. Do not talk to them. Do not open the door to them. Do not think you're an amazing parent, right? And everything is going to be okay.
No,
It's
that's
not the case. It's not the case. Be very mindful. A lot of people think because they're Christian, because they go to church, they pray, that everything's going to be okay. Yes, God also told us there's evil and there's good. Okay? But keep the oil in your candle because you don't want it to be dark. Be prepared. That's very important.
absolutely.
You can't walk in this being foolish. You have to be smart. You have to prepare. And you can't just like the cheapest, like I said, the cheapest retainer is the investigation part.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
the cheapest.
agree.
Remember,
And
Michael?
that's the
Yeah,
fastest way,
the
and that's how
fastest
you'll
way.
save yourself. Save
Yeah,
yourself a lot of grief.
yeah. And you have to understand too, do not hire a family law attorney that never handled a CPS case. Family law, in our office, we have sets of attorneys for juvenile, sets of attorneys for family law. Family law cannot touch juvenile, and juvenile cannot touch family law. Family law is lower courts. Juvenile is higher courts. They supersede family law. So a lot of people say, okay, well, I found a family law attorney, he's cheaper than a juvenile dependency. But you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
I don't
So
even think the attorney knows what he's getting himself into in those
no,
some of
they
those
do know.
cases.
They do know. Shame on them. They do know.
Oh no, that's a whole nother thing
Yeah.
that I'm gonna learn
Yeah.
about. And that's a beautiful thing, everybody. Georgette, she's full of information. You know, about a process that most people don't want to talk about. You know,
Yeah, they don't want to hear it. A lot of people they say when I explain to them, when I educate them on the phone, they say, you know what, Georgette, I don't want to think about it. I'm like, baby, but you need to you need to be
I
5
was in
steps
that
ahead
boat.
of them. You can't say that. You have to prepare. You have to be ready. What does Mr. Davis says? Mr. Davis says this, do it. A lot of people talk to Mr. Davis. They have a consultation with him, for instance. Then they do not do what he tells them to do. I'm like, but what's the point of you paying for the consultation, right? Do the consultation, and then yet you do what you want to do.
Yeah, that makes no sense. That's like CPS thinking right there.
Yeah.
That's like something.
Yeah, and then they say, well, Miss Georgette, the social worker assured me, right? Assured me that you have to do it this way. And I'm like, why would you trust
Did you
somebody?
not listen to what I said?
Yeah, and that's the thing, Michael. I understand that when you're a good parent, you think that nothing is going to happen to you because your mind, the way we are designed, is when you do the right thing, good things will happen. But people don't understand that people in jail are innocent. Most people in jail are innocent, and they find out their innocence years later, 20 years, 15 years, 35 years.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible what's going on. A criminal, it's very rare for a criminal to get caught. Very rare. Because the real criminals are the ones that have their kids.
Yeah, I mean, no, because they're good at being a criminal, and then they're working.
I'm talking about when you're in CPS. The real criminal.
And then criminals,
right?
CPS people are criminals. Yeah, they're some of they're pretty good. I gotta admit it. The CPS with the name Child Protective Services and what they said, how they could just try to manipulate. Well, you're at your weakest point, and then they will take advantage of that. And they pretend you're on your side, and they're pretty good. I mean, I gotta give it to them because just like my ex-wife, the reason they're so good is there's no boundaries. they will say and do anything,
Yeah.
to get what they want. Like you said, a narcissist, true narcissism.
Yeah.
And it should not be encouraged, and more people need to like say something and inform other people about it, because this is
Yeah.
wrong.
This is wrong. And another thing too, when a social worker tells you, the first initial worker or the second one, they
Mhm.
say, "Oh, don't worry, just sign these documents, and a week later, you're gonna have the investigation closed, cases closed, etc., right? That's not true.
Absolutely
That's
not. It's just like your public defender, like yeah.
It's a lie. It's a freaking lie. Period. It's a lie. Whatever the social workers tells you, and oftentimes people always give the wrong advice, family included. They say just cooperate with the social worker. Just do what they
That's what
say.
I had. Oh yeah, you just got to go with it, Michael. Another chick I was dating at this time when
Yeah,
this happened,
just gotta
and
go with it, Michael. No, I'm glad
I
you're not
was,
dating her anymore. But
oh god,
I'm
yeah, she turned out
yeah,
to be,
a
you
psycho.
know,
You don't
no,
need
pretty
another
much,
one.
you
You don't need
know,
another one, Michael. You're too nice. It's
I
just
am.
endless.
That's my problem.
You
That's
are.
my
You are
problem.
very nice. You're very sweet.
And I
And the
care
thing
about other
about it,
people.
and I told you not to make that mistake again. You have to be very wise who you
Yeah.
choose to be in your life. Very wise. Very important, you guys. And a lot of people don't get that. Don't trust the social worker. Don't open the door to the social worker. Always get an attorney. Always. When there's a CPS investigation, get an attorney as soon as possible. I have a client that said I didn't get an attorney because I didn't want them to think I'm guilty. That's BS.
Mm.
If you think that the reason you get an attorney, if you don't want them to think you're guilty, you're already guilty.
See, that's an excuse for making a mistake.
Exactly.
That's just a cop out. And oh, speaking of cop out, people need to think of CPS workers as police, because they will take anything you say and definitely use it to get you.
Yeah.
And
Police do that, but they're worse than the police.
oh, absolutely, way worse,
They're worse
because
than
they
the
go
police.
deeper. They
Yeah.
make the stuff up.
Yeah.
And it's so obvious that it's untrue, but for some reason, it's taken as truth. That's the part that blows my mind, and that's very hurtful. But
Yep.
then at some point, everybody that's listening, you got to get over that hurt, and you got to just stay informed.
Yeah, like look what Tina said. She said she was supposed to get her children back last January. They lied to her and said they did not say that. That's what they do, Tina, with every woman I speak with and man. They tell me the same thing. Oh, Miss Georgette, we're not going to hire an attorney. We changed our mind. The social worker said our
Things are
kids
going
are
good.
coming home. That is a lie. That is a complete lie. And you already know this. This is what kills me. They get a joy of tricking parents.
Oh, they love it.
They love it.
That's what they live for.
Celebrate. They celebrate, Michael. They literally celebrate.
Oh, I've heard them. Like, for instance, one time I was having trouble finding my cousin's phone number. Was talking about that other guy who called me after the hearing and was looking to set up something just in case the reunification didn't go through, whatever it is.
Right.
And I was having trouble getting the number. I was in the car, and like I could literally hear like a couple of them laughing in the background, and then I was talking. I was like, this isn't cool. This is very disrespectful. I would even consider like this being like a civil rights type thing. And then they hung up the phone. Like right there after I said that. But yeah, I've had to. I don't even want to go into my experiences. Like my stuff is still kind of ongoing, but I really don't even care.
Your stuff. I swear, I still don't know how they did. I still can't process what they done to you.
I made some mistakes. I made some mistakes and stuff like that, but nothing to warrant.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing to warrant removal of your child.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. No.
No.
And the ongoing abuse, because that's what it is. It's abuse.
Yeah, it is abuse. They're abusing the children.
So I went from a narcissistic ex-wife,
Mm-hmm.
Who kept my child from me for nearly a year.
Right.
And then I go to the CPS thing, dude. Like, it's been a rough 2 years, and instead of CPS, like or social workers, whatever, feeling any empathy towards me,
Right.
they use it against me. They just feel like this guy's already hurt. I'm gonna beat him down some more.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
they
just
want to bring you down. But that's their
oh,
job.
absolutely.
Their job is to make sure that you're down. Because
Oh,
once you're down, they win. Remember that. They're going to
oh,
say, look at him. He's a
I wouldn't
loser.
even
Look,
say they win. They
right,
they they just they just roll with it and they kick you when you're down.
right.
They keep going. That's the scary thing about it, is they just have
Yeah.
no limit.
No. They're like, you know what they are? They're monsters wearing a mask.
Oh, absolutely. And they hide, and that mask is Child Protective Services. The
Correct.
title. The
Yes.
title, that's what they hide behind.
Yes.
So
So
it's
they
just
are
crazy.
monsters wearing a mask. That's all they are, Michael. That's all they are. So people think they're okay. No, they're not okay. When you deal with
No,
child protective services, you're not okay. And you will never be okay if you don't nip it in the butt right away. And
that's the
then,
best advice.
yeah. And a juvenile dependency attorney is not cheap. So if you go to an attorney and he says or she says is the retainer is 2,500, the retainer is 1,500, that's not a juvenile dependency attorney.
No,
You have to be
juvenile
very
dependency is
careful with that.
10 at least.
Yeah, at least 10 and more. It depends
Hmm.
on the case and how long the case has been open, the depth of the case, the allegations on the case, etc., etc.
Hmm.
So it's like between 10, like 12,000 and up.
Hmm.
Okay. So you guys have to be very careful with that. Michael, thank you so much for joining me today, my love. I will definitely talk to you later on tonight.
Cool.
Um,
Thank you
and
for having me, Georgette. I appreciate it.
anytime, anything for you, Michael. And we'll talk later. And also, there's a couple of things that I want to discuss with you about the case
Sure.
that I just got notification on. So, if possible, give me a call later on tonight. Is that okay?
I will.
All
I
right.
will.
All right, baby.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody. God bless you all. And I will see you guys at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Relatives Fight CPS. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Michael.